You know me, man, doing my daily norm. But I just ordered some of this joint right here. Been hearing good things. The last two Clidio Golds, you know, they made me have a little bit of dreams and have some visualization, but everybody say this is the best one. This is the most expensive one. And this one this is actually a oil. The other ones were just like gold suspended in water or some type of tincture. And one was just like some other crazy cream concoction. But this one, it says that it got Clidio Gold, 24K monatomic minerals, Dead Sea salt, monk fruit, coconut oil. Yep. So we're gonna see what this one hitting for. I wanna remember my dreams. Feel me? I'm charging right now. I'm waiting for the transformation to come. It's already happening slowly. I can feel it. I feel 10 times better today than I did yesterday. But yeah, it's definitely an ascension. I was watching something last night. They said, you remember the two solar eclipse, right? You know, from the, what was it, August 2017. I watched both of them. I waited for both of them. I calculated both of them to the T, all the way to the April 2024 one. But they said exactly where those eclipses cross paths at and made the X. They said that's the places that it's flooding everywhere. Then they said they had another mini eclipse that created another X going through the center of the country somewhere in Illinois. But that's crazy because that's where the next natural disaster is going to hit, I believe, too. Because even before that, it went through every city named Salem in America and Nineveh in America. Those is biblical names. And then the place, the next one that's hit, you know, it's like it's another place in America called Egypt too. I think it's somewhere in Illinois, and then I know they got one in Tennessee, and I know they got a lot of Egyptian stuff in the Grand Canyon. So I guess the earth is just waking back up, you know, and every hidden thing is going to come to the surface and be exposed. So what y'all see as natural disasters, I see it as activation points and holy grounds and ancestral grounds, whereas though, you know, even if a lot of foul things happen on that land, a lot of blood was shed on that land, a lot of malicious intent was dished out on that land. And if you notice, a lot of places that's getting hit with natural disasters, the most is places that slaves were at heavy and were treated the most foulest. Even on the 4th of July, people, what's that, is it Lake Lanier or wherever that lake is, where they, burnt down the whole black town, and it's basically a graveyard under the water. And they was out there on the boats lighting fireworks. Boop, shit start blowing up. You do not want to perform activities over grave sites or on land that a lot of blood was shed, you know. Don't take my word from it. Just look at consistencies and patterns, you know. This is where I get all my information from. That's why I say everything you seek, it's not outside yourself. You ain't even got to read the books, you know. I'm just learning that now, that you don't even got to read the book. Once you woke enough, you know, you can just look at the historical blueprints and patterns. Even if they lie about the history, you know, it will resurface. And all you got to do is connect the dots, you know, fill in the blanks, and you're going to see exactly what's going on. This is the time of rebirth and death, you know. Death to the old and rebirth to something new. And, you know, it's going based upon your frequency, you know, the energy you are producing, which means that it will amplify it, you know. So if you're in good space, good spirits, it'll amplify it tenfold. And if, you know, when you're in bad space, bad spirits, and you know you still doing the same old thing, guess what? Your karma is just gonna hit tenfold too, you know? Stuff you was getting away with before, you just not gonna be able to get away with it no more, and you're gonna be held accountable, you know? Whether if it's not by people, it's gonna be by Mother Nature, you know? The mother. Yeah. It's really happening, you know? That's why I read a lot of the apocryphal books of the Bible, the esoteric books, which some people call the occult books, because all the real information is in them books. That's why they put these names on these books, so you will never go and read these books. But the keys to everything is in those books. Yes, the Bible is just a summary of things. But if you really want to know how these things transpire and how to activate things and how it's really going to go down, y'all better go read the stuff that they told you to never read and look into the stuff that they told you to never look into, and start, you know, tapping into the things that they told you was bad were actually good, you know? That was the greatest deception on the planet. And if Satan really deceived the whole world, they damn sure did a good job at that. Yeah, Satan deceived the whole world. They did a good job at that. Create a religion, go against everything the Bible says not to do, and tell people not to do everything the Bible tells you to do. Celebrate every holiday instead of every holy day. And every holiday, you know, it comes from another tradition or paganism or something like that, you know. You know, biblically, the Bible is an Israelite's book. So when it says about what people ignorantly call magic is just really metaphysics, it said do not follow the customs of the other nations. And when it says telling people not to go into certain divinations and other stuff, because it was already a holy priesthood that did all of that. They were called the Levites. These crystals that hold energy, that's why each one of the 12 tribes of Israel, Yasharala, you know, or Yisrael, you know, had one of these stones. Just like Thanos. You wonder why Thanos is purple? Because that is the highest, called violet. That is the highest color of the chakra spectrum within the body. It is violet, which looks purple. It's the crown chakra. Thanos. And every time he collected a new gemstone, guess what? He had a new ability. He transferred the energy. And guess what? He was the villain, but guess what? Just like it say about the Messiah in the Bible, in the end, they don't tell you about that. It said, I'm coming back with my garment dipped in blood, tongue like a two-edged sword. Not to play games, but to destroy. And put 2/3 of the population to death at that. Sound something like Thanos, don't it? Interesting. And in the process of all of that, it's just the waking up of the elect ones. Elect ones are like X-Men, because they will be unlocked with a higher state of consciousness, or Christ consciousness, or cosmic consciousness, or collective consciousness by way of solar flares. Solar flares activate the dormant parts of the DNA, you know. A solar flare can kill some people, can kill you, but it can also heal you. Same things that can kill you can heal you. Put it that way. Put it that way. Yeah, that part. See, on the magical books of Solomon, that's why these names are key. You know, they correlate, each one of the 7 planets correlates with the 7 days of the week. And it's governed by a different angel. And the angels, they call it the angels of hours, or, you know. And what it does is, it's like Saturday, which you know as the Sabbath, or they say Shabbat. The actual name correlates, Saturday correlates with Saturn, and Saturn's magical name is Shabbatai, where you get the word Shabbat from. Then you got Tzedek, which is Jupiter. You got Madem, which is Mars. You got Nogag, which is Venus. You got Kokov, which is Mercury. Then you have Shemesh, which is the sun. Then you have Lavana, which is the moon. You know, some people call the moon Luna. But actually, everything that's in nature outside of us is within us. And everything that you give a name or has a name, it becomes, you know, active. That means it's basically, anytime you give something a name, it can take formation. And when you give something a name, that shows that it exists. And when you show that it exists, it's a living organism. And living organisms, they become compatible with each other. They become in conjunction. Or we could say pair like Bluetooth with certain vessels or hosts, or which we would know in reality terms as a device. Bluetooth connects to a device, connects one thing to another, but the Bluetooth is the mediator, you know? Just like the etherical net, the Ethernet is like Wi-Fi. The internet connects you to a broad servers of different things, World Wide Web, you know, www. And opens up different portals of realities once you click on those sites or links. Same thing the Ethernet do. Just look at it as the ley line, the invisible grid, your longitude, latitude, specific sites that align with different stars and things that are above. But the things that are below are activated from the things that are above. Yeah. That's very interesting. But yeah, I'm definitely about to see what this goal is hitting for. You know, I experiment on myself with different things and products so I can get experience. You experiment to get experiences. That's what King Solomon said in the Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon, that all of these things that he practiced, that's where wisdom comes from. You go through some things and know some things, and you experiment to get experience, and you learn from trial and error. And that's where you see where the true magic lies, you know. And but back to the table of planets, what I was saying, like Shabbatai correlates with Saturn, and Saturn correlates with Saturday. But I wanted to go to Shemesh. What does it say that Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, after the flood, after the reset? And it tells you that each one, you know, will create a whole nother lineage. But if you notice that Japheth became the Isles of the Gentiles, Ham became the progenitor of the dark races, but it's, as it says in the Zondervan Compact Dictionary, not the Negroes. And then you know that Shem, you know, became the lineage of the Israelites. Well, the Israelites, like I told y'all before, correlates with Isis, Ra correlates with sun, and El signifies, you know, the eternal essence of the higher nature, which is the God particle within you, you know, which you can find in the crown, where you will find the pineal gland, which you will find the third eye, which biblically will be called the single eye. And that single eye is the pineal gland. Like the Bible would say, it says, focus on the single eye, your whole being will fill with light. But back to Shemesh. Shem, the children of Shem. Now, if the magical name for the sun is Shemesh, and then metaphorically in the Bible, see, maybe these things we weren't meant to take literal. Shemesh, children of the light. And then when I looked up what Ethiopia meant, because, you know, the controversy with King Solomon and Queen Sheba and the intermingling and then the lineage, it says Ethiopia means the ether people. When you break down Ethiopia, It means the ether people or the people of the sun. Interesting, ain't it? Something about this sun. This sun. And the Bible always refers to something as the Son of Righteousness. Or the Son of Righteousness never shined upon them. Or Helios. Helios. Biblios. You know, Biblios mean the Bible, but Helios means light ray. I don't know how they got light ray and translated that to Holy Bible. I guess holy means wholesome. You gotta be whole. But if Satan deceives the whole world and you only got bits and pieces of the puzzle, ain't none of y'all whole or holy at all. You're full of shit if you ask me. I'm just saying. But sometimes I sit under trees and I just wonder. Right. Well, I'm out of here. I think I said enough. I don't know. What's real you can feel, what's fake you can't relate, you know. It might resonate with your spirit. You might get something out of it, you might not. You know. Take what's good, take what's beneficial, and leave what's not, you know. Or you might not be able to take nothing. But take what works for you out of what I say and apply it to your life. How about that? I'm out.